Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my tarot channel. I have another reading for you today. My name is Paulina, by the way. I'm a psychic medium, an intuitive channeler and healer. And I was thinking about the practice of Wu Wei Wu, which if you know if you know Chinese, if you know anything about Taoism, it means doing non-doing. For a lot of us, that may seem really irresponsible or like not aligned with our culture, which is a very busy go 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 hustle culture. We're taught work hard, see results. This teaching is go with what's happening. Don't fight against. Go down the stream of, path of least resistance. And it's also that I like to call it the wisdom of slow. It's also, there's something called Jesus's time. You don't have to believe in Jesus to know about it, but just that Jesus was someone who would go to isolated places and take time alone and flee from the crowd. I have a favorite quote by Chaucer. I'll put it below. It's basically, to paraphrase, it's like, take thy thing and flee from the crowd. Hoarding brings negative things. So it's saying, like, you don't need a lot and get away from these, the needs of the crowd can overtake our needs. And it's like Jesus would go to these private, quiet places. There's also a story about healing that I want to quickly share. I guess this is a weird reading because it mixes Wu Wei Wu with Jesus, teachings of Jesus. But a lot of times in life we may think that like other people are getting things that we're not, or like, what about us? What about our healing? When are we gonna get attention or help? There's a story about Jesus was a healer, so he would travel around healing people. So there is a story about a man who, his son, I believe, or no, his daughter was dying. So Jesus is traveling on the way there. But on the way there, he meets someone else who's really suffering, I think a leper, and becomes really consumed with helping them. And then by the time he gets to the other person, the father's like, well, you're too late because she's dead. You didn't save my daughter. And then Jesus says, she's not dead, she's just asleep. And he brings her back to life. So the story meaning is meant to be that, like, we may think we're being passed by, but we're actually being favored. In the words of Joel Osteen, if you ever want to check him out, he's a great inspirational speaker. But so your turn is coming, your time is coming, and don't think that you're not being seen by God. And where Wu Wei Wu comes in is like, don't push against, which I said this in another reading recently, don't push against these hard things in your life. Deal with them, see them head on. Don't put your head in the sand and pretend they don't exist, but don't, fight against them. And the power of non-doing, it teaches us that there's a literal and a metaphorical sense. The literal sense is we may be on schedules in our lives where we're on a go schedule, and we may not realize the stress we're under until we slow down and then take time, maybe through meditation or just sitting in a quiet room with no stimulus. There's like you can get like an isolation chamber. It's like a floating thing where you have no stimulus. It's a great thing. Or you can just do that on your own. Turn out all the lights in the room, make it quiet, either white fan, and really get quiet, because that is when we're gonna hear from our higher self, from God and from spirit, when we slow down And the non-doing comes in because we have to remember that that's something we have to do. It's on our list, is making that time for processing, for slowing down, for, regrouping. Because if we don't do that, then we're missing one of my favorite quotes from Ferris Bueller. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it.